our pal Fleccas Talks, one of his journalists just caught one of the most disturbing things I've seen in a few weeks. You want to know what the liberal empire is selling? They go to this Dallas gay bar and they go to an event, drag the kids to Pride. Drag the kids to Pride. That doesn't sound great. It's a show at Mr. Bar, billed as a family-friendly version of the bar's regular champagne drag lunch. Here's what they saw.
How do you think the event went today?
I think it was amazing. I never get to perform in front of children. Performing in front of children, I have 6 other younger siblings. So it was very emotional. I loved it. It was probably one of the best shows I've ever done.
What do you say to the conservative parents that wouldn't bring their children to an event like this?
Why? Here's the thing. I don't think that there is any kind of issue with exposing children to this because, especially if your child is in the community or you may think they are, I just think that drag is educational.
Do you think that exposing children to drag will lead children to do drag in the future in the long run?
Not if they don't want to do drag. I'm a gay man and I don't want to do drag. So I don't think, no, absolutely not.
It's not grooming. It's not, you will be what you are. We're not going to turn you into something else because you come and see this event.
This video is so enlightening. One, obviously, this is freakish and perverse and horrible and under no circumstances should drag queens be allowed to jiggle for kids. You heard how creepy that guy was at the top? He goes, I never get to dance around for kids. This is really great. I love dancing around for kids in my high heels and this guy should be arrested for doing this. So, the video serves that purpose too. But it's so telling about the hidden agenda here, the not so hidden agenda here, because the little group at the end of the people wearing the Beto shirts who just were customers at this bar, who were just talking about the show, they give one answer to the question of what this means for kids, but the drag queen gives a totally different answer. You saw, it was asked, so you really think kids should be at this thing? And the drag queen, he says, oh yeah, I think drag is educational. And then the people in the Beto shirts at the end, they say, you really think kids should be at this thing? They say, oh yeah, it's no big deal. They're not being indoctrinated. They're not being educated. No, it's there. And that guy, he says, no, look, it's not going to make kids more inclined to do drag. No, look, I'm a gay guy and I don't want to do drag. And so kids are going to be what they're going to be. Kids are going to be who they are. That woman there, she says, no, kids are what they are and they never change at all. Well, those are totally contradictory views of education, of human nature, of the mind, of the soul. The drag queen is saying you become something. You start out one way, but then through education, you become something else. Education shapes your desires. Education shapes your interests. Education shapes your beliefs. And then the ridiculous group of people at the end in the Beto shirt, they say, nah, education doesn't do any of that. You're just born a certain way and you never change at all, ever. You don't change your beliefs, you don't change your desires, you don't change your interests, you don't change anything. Nothing affects you. Who's right? Obviously, the drag queen is right here. Obviously, not just drag shows are educational, but all of culture is educational, and all of these lessons and all of these instructions, if they weren't, we wouldn't send kids to school. If we weren't, we wouldn't learn anything. If they weren't educational, if they weren't, another way of saying that is indoctrinating, if they weren't formative in shaping people's views, especially little kids whose brains are so malleable, if they weren't accomplishing that in the drag shows, then the left wouldn't be promoting them. The reason that the libs are pushing for younger and younger people and younger kids to go to pride parades, to go to drag shows, to go to gay bars, to watch men jiggle around, the reason they're pushing for this is because it is formative, is because it shapes their minds. They are telling us this. They are telling us this in their own words. And so they cannot, well, they can, but it won't make any sense, and it's obviously disingenuous. They cannot simultaneously tell us that the drag shows are not doing any of that, that the pride parades are not doing any of that. We're not indoctrinating the kids in radical sexual ideologies, and it's good that we are. That's the argument they're making. The Washington Post is trying to make sense of this. It was one of the funniest articles I have read in a mainstream paper in a very, very long time. Headline: Gender identity lessons banned in some schools are rising in others. And here is the real money line. Here's the thesis of the column, or of the news article rather. In Florida and several other states, educators are restricted in teaching about gender identity. But elsewhere, teachers are embracing the topic as the number of transgender and gender non-binary children rises. And I love this line because you might not catch it if you're just reading it quickly. Okay, dude, all right, there's different schools who are disagreeing on. But I love the way they frame it here. In Florida and certain other states, the conservatives are tamping down on transing the kids. But in other schools, teachers are embracing this topic as the number of children who are getting transed rises. You think those two things might have something to do with one another? It's just so strange. Can you believe these conservatives? They don't want to. The number of transgender children is rising, so why don't they want to teach lessons where they encourage kids to become transgender? It's so weird. Maybe because the lessons are impelling people to become transgender. It reminds me of this article by Fox Butterfield in the New York Times. This is a famous headline in the New York Times. They say, despite drop in crime, an increase in inmates. Despite crime falling, the prisons keep filling. Despite. I don't know that despite means what you think it means. Actually, maybe there's a connection here. It's a strange social phenomenon. The crime rate continues to fall even though we keep putting all the criminals in prison. Like, isn't that so weird? No, it's only weird. It's only difficult to understand if you are so taken with a radical ideology that you can't see plain realities right before your very eyes. I'm so glad that the Washington Post, I'm so glad that drag queen at that bar in Dallas, I'm so glad that some of the libs at least are beginning to admit that we were right all along. Arby, you know how much I hate to say I told you so. You know how much I hate to take out my Nostradamus hat and my crystal ball and predict the future. But they're telling us we were right. They're saying, yeah, we are grooming them. At the very least, we're grooming them intellectually. At the very least, we're grooming them in their moral sense to become accustomed to drag shows. At this show, you had little kids putting dollar bills in the thongs of these creeps. This is overtly, explicitly sexual stuff. They say, yeah, no, but it's all fine. It's just to teach tolerance. Maybe we shouldn't tolerate that. Or we're going to tolerate everything? No. The libs certainly don't tolerate everything. In fact, as we all know, I almost don't even want to say it, it's become cliche at this point, they're extremely intolerant of all the normal, good, traditional stuff that we've ever had in this country. They're intolerant of the American flag in some cases. They protest the Star-Spangled Banner. So it's not a question of being more tolerant or being less tolerant. Moreover, though, sometimes you'll hear conservatives say, we're the really tolerant ones. We're the real liberals. I'm a conservative because I'm a liberal, because I'm so tolerant. I think you should be able to say and do whatever you want. No, that's not true either. We are also not the totally tolerant ones. Nobody is totally tolerant. Nobody really believes that people should be able to say and do whatever they want whenever they want to do it. No, that isn't true. At least I don't. I don't want to tolerate the drag show for kids. I think that should be shut down, and I think there should be a law passed against it, and when people break that law, I think they should go to prison for a very long time. Call me intolerant. Michael, you're just not open-minded enough. I guess I'm not. Some people, it seems, are so open-minded that their brains have fallen out. No, we're not totally open and totally liberal and no. Every culture has standards. I'm glad you liked that clip. Now, ding, ring, slam, like, subscribe, ping, I don't know, whatever you gotta do. Subscribe, get the notifications to the Michael Knowles Show. Head on over also to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe there, leave a 5-star review, please. We will see you next time.